it's about humanizing. That's a part of the motto of Texans for Accountable Government, is speaking on a human level and connecting with these people about the precedent that we're setting by allowing the abuse of this technology to be used in our schools. So they need to hear from you and start talking with your neighbors about about this issue, because most people aren't talking about it. Talk about what you learned today, because there's a very distinct difference between a passive tag, like you tap to get into a door, and an active radio frequency microchip, like the ones that are implanted in these badges, which constantly emit a signal. So really start humanize, harmonize, and localize your effort, and we're going to be able to stop this program and keep it from spreading all throughout Texas. And I'm happy to answer any questions about the details. It might get a little boring, the details of the legislative process, but we'll be here later. We have the action alert. Chipfreeschools.com is the website we've created. We're going to keep updates on there, as well as tagtexas.org, which is Texans for Accountable Government's website. And I'll be here afterwards if anybody wants to talk about how we can really dig our heels in to protect our students in these Texas schools.
Texans for Accountable Government, thank you. Heather Fazio there, she had an action alert. I guess I've got what we call a breaking news alert. This just in, Matthew? Okay, right? Please welcome the late Matt Simpson to the panel. We're going to introduce you to Matt Simpson in just a moment. He is the legislative liaison for the Texas ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union. Okay, mouthful there, RFID. But before we introduce Matt on our panel, I do want you to meet a Northside parent. This parent has been to several Northside board meetings recently. And she has some questions for Northside that she didn't get answered. She was hoping that she would get some answers tonight. Let's see what happens. Leticia? Please welcome Leticia, Northside mom.
Yes, good evening. Heather, thank you for making it happen, and everyone who's here. We really appreciate it. I am a Northside parent. I'm a former Northside school teacher, taught with them for about 7 years ago. But I have 3 children in the school system here, a senior, a sophomore, and a 3rd grader. And ever since I heard about this on the radio, I made every attempt to go. I went immediately. The first time I wasn't allowed to speak because I didn't sign up in time, whatever. But then the next time, I was one of the parents who did speak. Like he said, second time, they canceled most of us out, and only 5 spoke, and the 3rd time we were just, may as well had duct tape on our mouths. It was very disheartening to see that with this district that I used to work for. Anyway, I wish they were here. I did send an email to them, or someone, about it on the website, because that's the only way you can communicate, it seems. And I asked, will there be an opportunity for parent input, and when will you actually take this pilot and expand it? And I received an email saying they would probably decide at the end of March, and that yes, there would be opportunity for parent input. Well, I showed up. I don't know what else. I haven't seen anything else like this, posted by them. So if they were here, I would ask them, when will we get to learn, like we've learned tonight, of the effects? When will we get to give our other questions that we may not have even thought of yet? And also the whole idea of using it for school attendance, how can we really, or how can the district really say that they care about our students, and they are going to make sure they're in school? I know a senior who tossed his up on top of the school building. He says, so I'm always at school. So as a parent, I wouldn't know if my kid was in attendance or not in attendance. Mine go to a different high school, so the voice, thing calls me, your son was not in period 1, 2, 3, whatever. So I know, and I can say, hey, where were you? With that ID, he could toss it on the roof, and I'd never know anything. How does that really show that they care about my students' education? And is this really a good use of our taxpayer money?
One thing I would like to point out is that we already have extensive technology in our schools. We have surveillance cameras everywhere. And what happened to hall monitors? I mean, there are more practical ways to get these kids in their seats, and it takes an active, diligent administration, not tracking devices.
I'd like to reiterate what Heather just said. You know, when I was in high school, we didn't have RFID badges. We had hall monitors, Heather, you know, and I think what's really critical is this generation of children are growing up, number one, being in utero with cell phone mothers. None of us in this room had that experience. None of us in this room. What is the effect that's going to be? None of us in this room had to wear RFID badges. Okay? What are the effects of there's initial research that shows there's problems with concentration, problems with behavior, leukemia at these levels. Why are our kids going to be guinea pigs to prove the data is right? This is insanity. None of us in this room are kids this age. Our kids this age are the guinea pigs of this society, and it's wrong.
Okay, we now have a question. This question just came to me from a Northside ISD employee in the building right now. He's a bus driver for Northside Independent School District and panel. He would like to know, will this problem affect bus drivers when students wearing these devices board the buses? I will start with that end coming this way, whoever's comfortable. Catherine.
Sure, well, I think...
Heather Fazio.
Yeah, Catherine or Heather, whoever's comfortable. Whoever wants to begin, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, I think that I'll just let Catherine answer this because I think that you have a little more experience.
Yeah, the technology is actually being used on Northside Independent School District buses now, from what I've been told. Katie Doyos can probably answer that. Katie, are they using it currently?
I believe that's, I need to research it again, but I believe that's part of where it actually started, because they targeted students with disabilities. They get more money, and so they have to ride the buses, so that's where it started. If I'm not mistaken, double check me, but
yeah, this is what we had heard also from Mike Wade, the vendor from Wade Garcia, was that the reader devices have been installed on the buses. And the idea is that the children are not only tracked while they're on campus, but they're also tracked on the bus so that they know which kids got on the bus, they know when the kids got off the bus, where they got off the bus, so that they can be tracked as well. So if you're a bus driver, you're sitting there, and yes, all of these kids' tags are blasting you and bombarding you with radio frequency energy. Is that dangerous? To be honest, I don't know. I haven't done a tremendous amount of research. I have looked at studies that say it does, studies that say it doesn't. There's some compelling stuff out of Europe that says maybe it's a problem. But I will say this, as a parent myself who has had breast cancer, if I had a daughter in this school, I would want the right to obey my own health concerns. Even if those concerns ultimately turned out not to be justified, should I not have the right as a parent to say, as far as I'm concerned, it's not safe enough for you to put this device between my daughter's developing breasts? And when they take that right away from parents, regardless of what the science says or doesn't say, they're really fundamentally violating your right as a parent to make health and safety decisions for your child. So if they, what I would like to see, and when I was at the EPIC event, one of the things that, you know, we went back over our position statement, which I would recommend everybody read. We've got it down to 6 pages now. But our position paper says, switch this around. If you really want to do it, if you absolutely need to have this, make it an opt-in program. So that if you're a parent and you want your child to be tracked in this way, that you sign a document, you sign up, just like a field trip. You know, they have to get parents' permission to let the kids go on a field trip because it could be unsafe. They have to get parents' permission to talk about the birds and the bees. So why should they not have to get parents' written permission to put a tracking device around their necks?
Amen.
So, and then if parents want it, great. And if you don't sign it, then you don't participate. And this is a really fundamental, basic privacy. All the privacy advocates will give you the argument between opt-in and opt-out. So when you log onto a website, and just by using the website, it says, we automatically will track everything you do and send you tons of spam unless you find the box and check it to turn it off. That's called opt-out, and that's what's not even available here. Even like the most egregious website tracking garbage gives you the opportunity to opt out.
I don't want to have to be the one to interrupt Dr. Katherine Albrecht, but the questions are stacking up. That's
All right.
good. So, okay. Again, the question for the panel, real quickly: will this problem affect bus drivers? I'm a Northside bus driver. Will it affect us, bus drivers, when students board the big yellow bus and they have it around their neck?
Yes, and the answer is absolutely yes. And I would ask the bus driver to consider the student's behavior before and after this stuff's being implemented. And I'll tell you why the bus is important. The signals, RF signals, any kind of radiation signal is affected by constructive interference and destructive interference. Constructive interference is when waves add to each other, and that's what you're going to get on the bus. It's a metal encasing. Those signals are going to bounce back and forth, and you're going to have hot spots in that bus. The bus is going to be one of the worst places for this. Inside the school, you have concrete walls. The signals can leave the area, but within those metal confines, the bus is going to be a disaster. So the answer is yes.
I wanted to talk really quickly about the history within Texas of the attempts to regulate the use of RFID, because I think it's sort of interesting and telling, and it kind of parallels some of the things I imagine that have already been set up here and some of the things you all already know as people interested in this technology. The first bill that I know of in Texas was in 2005, and it was Representative Colkhorst, who will be coming up frequently in this discussion, filed a bill that would have barred the use of radio frequency identification